Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you to the conference presenting results of PKP Cargo the first quarter of 2017. Today's conference will be conducted by the CEO, Maciej Libiszewski. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Thank you for finding the time to join us today. So we've had a very good opening of the year, so our results were quite good, and the cost is under control, and we've recorded positive changes on main markets. We are very happy about strong growths in international freight, including the new Silk Road. With regard to intermodal sector, well, it continues growing, and I believe that we will continue this positive trend in the coming months. So we are adjusting our company to the needs of the company, of the market, and we can see it on the first slide that will be presented by Arkadiusz Olewnik. So thank you. Thank you. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. With the revenues 1,100 million zloty, and with the cost 1,097,000 zloty, well, the net result was -1 million zloty. With regard to EBITDA, it's higher by 83% year-on-year, so this is 147 million zloty. CapEx was 86 million zloty, -53% year-on-year. Now, the market share measured by freight turnover, freight volume, then we have firstly 52.3% measured by freight turnover and 44.9% measured by freight volume. But I'd like to highlight one important fact that in the fourth quarter 2015, well, we've lost some contracts for transporting hard coal, and we still haven't recovered those contracts. And that was a very important loss for us because it was losing about 10% of the hard coal market. So looking at those results, you need to bear in mind the past events. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the previous speaker has mentioned that a couple of months before the government has changed, well, PKP Cargo lost 3 big contracts, over 5 million tons of coal. But the good news is the fact that not only we are better than the first quarter of 2016 and first quarter of 2015, and comparing our results, well, the situation is quite good. So now moving on to most important achievements in Q1 2017. So strengthening our position for our shareholders. Well, we've become a good and stable company, and I'm very happy about it because the hard work and efforts of the whole team, all employees, has been appreciated. So the high quality of communication with the market and also the reporting obligations, well, this is the title that we've been awarded. And we've strengthened our leading position, and as you can see, our results on the market are improving month by month. A couple of days ago, we've published a report on that, and that shows you that the trend is continued. So we are developing international cooperation. We develop our cooperation in terms of transport between seaports, and we focus on the synergy with AWT. So we've launched a company in Germany, so we are present in the new Silk Road, and we continue strengthening our position. We would like to launch our own structures in China. And a few weeks ago in Shanghai, we've signed the initial contract. Well, we are dynamically developing intermodal segment. This is more perspective segment. Well, and the growth was over 35%. with regard to containers from and to China. So the growth was 95% during the first quarter of 2017. Well, we're optimizing logistics, and Jarosław Klasa will talk about it more. In a moment, Grzegorz Fingas will talk about specialized transport, and we continue focusing on the area-based management. And for that, we need peaceful situation in terms of our agreement with the employees. Without that, we wouldn't be able to achieve that without the support from our employees. And now a couple of words about that. So thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, we've said it several times as the board, how important it is for us to have good communication with our employees, how important it is for us to achieve the goals. And we believe that good communication with our employees and the situation in which the employees understand the direction of the company, well, that helps them to better fulfill their tasks. And we believe this is one of the very most important ways to improve the efficiency. So in recent months, we've had a very responsible and efficient dialogue with our employees, and as an effect, we have a very good situation in our company. So we have a peaceful situation. Our employees are focused on doing their jobs, and there are no disturbances. And one of the things that we focused on in the past quarter was the work in the administration and trade unions team, and we've worked on the changes to the collective contract, employment contract. And, well, our aim is to develop improved solutions that better answer the challenges on the job market, and we would like to raise the motivation among our employees. And we believe that together with the trade unions and our partners among employees, we really believe that we will be able to develop good solutions both for the company and for the employees. Yet another thing that I'd like to mention today is the decision that was taken in the company concerning publishing integrated report covering 2017. And as you know, as a result of the changes introduced last year and the amended law on accountant, well, PKP CARGO is now obligated to share the data, non-financial data, and we've decided to go further, actually, in the PKP CARGO and improve the quality of data that we share. So we've started working on that, and as a board, we believe that the efforts that we've launched and the good coordination thereof will help us to publish non-financial report that is not only fulfilling the obligation of the imposed by the law, but it will also show the good communication between us and our stakeholders. I'd like to remind you that PKP CARGO has been identifying areas of social responsibility for many years, and well, introducing and implementing them, especially with regard to the environmental protection, we can safely say that we meet the regimes of emissions, CO2 emissions and energy consumption or water consumptions. And we are truly green freight company, transport company. Yet another area is the employee engagement, the area of our employee. Well, and social engagement, for instance, the Museum of Old Trains, but also the contracts, employment contracts. Many projects that have been introduced and implemented in our company have been recognized in Europe and around globe. So company friendly to runners, for instance. Well, these were included in good practices reports, and we believe that the integrated report that is being prepared, that includes the non-financial data, we believe that it will be recognized as a safe source of information by our investors. Well, it will surely help us to build the image of the company as the reliable partner and employer. So thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And now we are moving on to the slide dedicated to the potential of our company. It's not only material potential, but it's also optimization of our logistics. We would like to carry more loads in the dispersed system, and because of the circumstances, both rates and time of loading, well, we are not really competitive in terms of road transport, but we were working hardly on that, and Jarosław Klasa's team is especially working on that. And now I give the floor to Mr. Klasa. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. PKP Cargo offers our customers a great potential. Well, we have more than 2,000 locomotives, diesel and electrical, including the multi-system engines. PKP Cargo, means over 60,000 train cars that transport various commodities. We are well positioned. We are close to the customers, over 60 points, service points for our customers. Well, this is mainly for the logistical operations connected with loading. We support our customers in spedition, including operations on our eastern border. We have 2 operational centers near Ukrainian and Belarusian border. Well, we also do certification there and all the elements concerning customs. And our customers rely on us, and we complete all the operations on behalf of them, and we do it reliably and efficiently and quickly. So, ladies and gentlemen, one of the important segments is the intermodal segment that have been measured by 10% share in our freight turnover, and this is 148,000 containers transported by the PKP Cargo in 3 months of 2017. Well, as Mr. Olewnik mentioned, over 52% share in the Polish market freight turnover. And so we are the leading company in Poland, transport company in Poland. So thank you. Thank you. Now let's move on to the trade economic outcomes. Well, we need to highlight that we've tightened our cooperation with PKP LHS, but also our transportation for NATO. We need to highlight that our work has been noticed. Not just the Chinese expansion, but it was also noticed by Brussels, around ABC countries. And some more details will be given by Grzegorz Fingas. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. PKP Cargo Group's share in Poland are 52.3%. Measured by the freight turnover. systematically since last year. We've been rebuilding, we've been improving our market share, and the growth is 2%. On the market, we have 63 transport companies that transport commodities. And PKP Cargo, after the first quarter, recorded 8% growth in freight in this area. Well, transport is correlated with the economic situation and with the main industries, and well, we've informed you about it during the previous meetings, and we were hoping for the development in aggregates and construction materials, and it's a fact now. Well, in the past year, we've noticed some symptoms, but the first quarter of this year, well, this is a 21% growth of this segment. And what's more important, part of the strategy, growth of intermodal 35%. Last year it was 25%. So PKP Cargo is implementing the strategy, and implementing that strategy we are focusing on intermodal transportation, also international transportation, and these are the cumulative indicators for transit, and that shows you that transit has nearly 8% of share in international transport. Well, that confirms our active engagement in services and development of the road connecting Europe and China. Well, the dominating commodity in our transport, in our transport work is hard coal. Well, most of the time last year, well, it was connected with short distances, but taking into consideration all circumstances on the market, I'd like to highlight that despite lower production, well, the sale is higher, and the growth was 7% in terms of freight volume, as compared to the first quarter 2016. So 7% more of freight volume. And we still need to remember about the drops connected with the lost contracts in 2015. Well, aggregates and construction materials. Well, the downturns were the effect of the delays connected with investment implementation. Well, we had some good signals at the end of the last year, and the first quarter confirms that. Well, the situation, the economic situation has improved, and in 2017 we will have 400 kilometers of roads, new roads built, and the rail investments have started. A very important area are metals and ores in connection with the higher steel production. Well, we've recorded a stable growth, reaching 3%, well, higher export to China, better economic situation, well, that all contributed to a stable 3% growth. According to the chamber, steel production is a basic indicator here, so they are forecasting, projecting growth of 5 to 6%. Well, that gives us really hopes for that segment. I'd like to highlight the fact that PKP Cargo remains a leading company in intermodal transport. Intermodal is a very essential element of our strategy. 35% growth during the first quarter of 2017 confirms our theory. Well, the growth generally is a result of the connection between Europe and China through Poland, but also the transport between seaports. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. All the slides that we've seen and all the results that we've seen is connected with the economic situation. And actually, the projection of the European Commission for GDP in Poland has been risen from 3.2 to 3.5% this year. According to the European Commission, the GDP will be growing faster because of the rebounds of the investments. And we know that GDP is a barometer, and it shows us what will happen in the economy in the coming months. We are observing a good change in the economy, and we, as the PKP, we can see that not only our ministry is supporting us, but also other ministries are supporting us. And now I give the floor to Arkadiusz Olewnik to summarize the situation. Thank you so much. Before I move on to financial results, I'd like to highlight one thing, that 2017 is the year in which we can actually fully compare all the quarters to 2016. It's because in 2015, in May, we acquired AWT, so the data presented in 2016 required additional corrections or explanations. But if we compare the first quarters of 2016 and 2017, the profits grew by 6%, the revenues grew by 6%. Well, this is because of the higher freight turnover, for instance, and operating expenses remained the same, more or less, as you can see, but we realized that energy cost and access cost must have grown. So the result have been achieved because the employee benefits expenses have been reduced by 14 million zloty. Over 480 employees retire. EBITDA is higher by 66 million as compared to the previous year. It's higher even than in 2015, and this is 80% upwards. And that was because the operations were higher by more than 60%. And net result is less by 66 million zloty as compared to 2016. And now operating expenses. Amortization is slightly higher by 2 million zloty. Employee benefits less, minus 14 million. Energy and fuels also a bit of change. But the key operational indicators, factors such as access, materials, energy, and so on, have improved. And EBITDA per employee, well, it shows you that actually our employment have dropped. And we have a drop by 13%, and also the drop of the cost of the remunerations and the increase of freight turnover. And we also have changes in the energy consumption and the reduced access to infrastructure. And now I'd like my colleague to take the floor and tell you how we've used the operational leverage effect. And now Jarosław Klasa. Thank you. Once again, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So I have the pleasure to communicate that the optimization program that the whole board and top management focused on during the past year is working well. The first part of it was the direct cost optimization. And so the first element of the program has been effective in terms of the yearly results of the company. Well, that was shown during our previous conference. At the moment, well, a bit later on, we started yet another element, and this is a consequence of our efforts. And this element involves, well, the fact that observing the economic situation and the situation of the market, well, we are focusing on locomotives and train cars. So we want the locomotives to be sent to a specific transport. So we cooperate very tightly with the commercial department, and we are working very well and efficiently. Well, this is not only about operational division, but also financial and commercial division. Ladies and gentlemen, we've improved the factors of the factor connected with the use of cars and locomotives. So the time between loading and unloading and then loading again. So this is the crucial element. And there was some space to optimize this element, and we've succeeded here. Now we've succeeded because also we've improved the communication. Now every day under my leadership, we have everyday teleconferences with our branches. Well, everyone is really engaged in the freight process. And as an effect, we need less potential, less work to do more work, actually. So we are removing, well, we are speeding up the element of the middle element, because we have three issues here. So first, loading, then journey, and unloading. And well, with the help of our work, we've actually shortened those elements, and with higher turnover, lower factors concerning the consumption indicators. And since I have the floor at the microphone, I'd like to mention that the CAPEX in the first quarter of 2017, well, involve mainly the overhauls. Well, we've signaled we've told you already that 2017 will be an important year, because we'll be rising overhauls and in our rolling stock. And well, the overhauls take 6 and 8 year long periods, and we are now completing the 6-year-old period. So we really want to do everything on time, and this is also an element of the optimization. And the types of trains and engines, well, they are repaired under this program. We can't forget about the ICT development, but this is more like dispersed, so only some elements are being improved. So we've changed our approach towards the ICT IT programs. Well, we've also changed the our approach towards the engines, new engines. In 2016, we've had new locomotives. This year, we really we are expecting the other locomotives to come, but in the coming quarters, therefore the drop here is 93%. Well, The capex dropped by half, but without shaking the operational stability. So these are well-thought steps, and our main efforts are concentrated on the rolling stock. And now the basis for the development, and a couple of words from Arkadiusz Olewnik. So thank you. As at 31st March, the company has the sources of 1,154,000,000 zloty, and about 700 million is cash, and 450 million are the credit lines that are available at EIB, BGK, and others. Well, the debt dropped by 50 million zloty. Some of the leasings and loans have been paid. And the debt structure is very important here. This is the long-term type, and that shows you a very safe structure, safe situation for the future. And of course, because our operational factors improved, we can see that the ratio net debt to EBITDA has improved, and it's now 1.6. Now, with the cash flows, total is minus 302 million zloty. On operating activity, the change was plus 205 million zloty. And one comment here, but actually taking off 250 million zloty for on the bank accounts, this is only 53 million zloty. So thank you so much. Now let's move on to the outlook. Our key commercial areas are intermodal, coal, aggregates, and construction materials, ores, and metals. Now, intermodal. So this is the development of Polish ports, and it's a very important element. Well, we have a deep-sea terminal in Gdańsk constructed. It's not working still 200% of the potential, but we are involved there. We are engaged there to actually improve the use, and it seems that Szczecin, Świnoujście ports, seaports will improve. We are always ready to actually work in there. In terms of Szczecin, PKP CARGO has always been strong there and will be using that leverage. So we are talking about with our business partners in order to refrain from constructing the terminals just by ourselves, but do it as consortiums. And this type of involvement is always more beneficial, because we know that in order for the terminal to work, we need to have at least three. And well, we have the rail, road transport, but if it's supported by flights, that's even better. In terms of EU regulations concerning charges for road transport, in a couple of days we'll see a publication of the mobility package. It will be published by the European Commission, and we expect we have great hopes concerning this package, because for many years we've been operating on the company where the rights are not equal. I've mentioned that several times, that American market that is very open for lorries, still rail transport, it's over 40% of transport. And in the European market, that is so good for rails. So when there is lots of support, payments, subsidies, whatever, on this market that is a paradise for rails, well, rail transport is only 14 up to 17%, depending on the country, be it France, Germany, or Poland. And we hope that this mobility package can change the situation. Well, the initial information says that it should include payments, charges for access to all elements of roads, that the cost of transport should be included, and also an external cost of transport should be included, and the fact that we have problems of accidents, noise, and pollution, well, it should be included there, and that will help us to have equal rights. Because we don't want to, we don't really want to have any preferential treatment. We just want to have equal rights. With regard to the development of collaboration along the New Silk Road, well, we've recorded significant changes, and we need to realize what's at stake. So we are talking about only 1% of what is moved, transported between Europe and China through seas. This is not really a lot, but for us, this is quite a lot. For us, this is a change similar to the change that happened around the world when the mobile phones were introduced. So we don't really have to take away the market, because the sea transport will not even notice this 1%. And for us, this is a significant number. And that's why we want to be present in China. But it is also connected with services in Poland and Europe, because we want to transport commodities around Europe. But we are also working on increasing positive balance for Europe. So at this moment, more and more commodities come to Europe than it leaves. And Chinese people are also expecting a change, because they would like to import more food commodities, not only from Poland, but for instance from Czech Republic, Austria, and other countries. We would like to be the hub, transportation hub, and we are trying to build that position in China. You realize that we also have a lot of interesting commodities to offer, the best windows, furniture, and a lot of other things, also the copper cathodes produced by KGHM. So we would like to offer that on the Chinese market. So we are supporting our exporters. With regard to coal, well, the situation hasn't been that good for many months. Well, it was also because of the change of the concept of energy security that is now based on the hard coal, not only closing down the Czech mines, but also the policy of our government resulted in the return to the transport that hasn't been done for quite some time. And what is happening now in Czech Republic, the biggest bankruptcy in the history of Czech Republic and Czechoslovakia, well, the bankruptcy that was expected because the Czech deposits will not have coal in more or less 5 years anyways. So this is a chance for our mining industry. Despite the projections of many experts, despite that many people said that mining industry, coal industry, hard coal industry will be closed down, but it turns out that we will have to open some of the mines in Poland. It's not just the coal, but it also the coking coal. Also, the drop of prices that has been recorded cannot be compared with the low prices that we dealt with in the previous years. With regard to aggregates and construction materials, execution of infrastructural investments have started, has been launched, and the market is growing 5 to 10% per annum until 2020. At the moment, we have 161 investments investments worth 81 billion zloty. By the end of 2017, PKP PLK will sign investment agreements worth at least 18 billion zloty. We want to be present on this market, and we are trying our best to be there, and we hope that we will succeed. What else can I say? Our employees summarized that yesterday and the day before yesterday, well, success again. Well, ores and metals, good situation in the industry again, rising steel production in Poland and across the globe, and the repercussions of the customs duties implemented by the EU on imports of steel and steel goods from China and Russia. Therefore, the situation is definitely improving in this industry, and the growth has been 3% recently, and I hope that this trend will be continued. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and now time for Q&A session. So how about the second quarter? Because it's mid-second quarter. Can you see that the trends are continued? Well, what can I say, ladies and gentlemen? We've just seen the publication by the Central Statistical Office, and that's the only source of information that I can refer to. So if you ask me the next question, if I actually sent my best wishes to my mother, because it's Mother's Day in Poland today, well, yes, I did. But, well, as you can see, we continue growing, and it's clearly visible. So that's the only thing that I can say right now. I can refer to only refer to the generally known publication of the Central Statistical Office.
Dużo Państwo mówiliście o tym.
You've mentioned the peaceful situation and good relations with the employees. What are the perspectives for growth of remunerations? Have you actually agreed upon that? Yes, well, the raises have been agreed and they'll be as high as possible. Now, with regard to details, I'd like Zenon Kozendra to tell us how that works. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. In PKP Cargo, with regard to the rises for the employees, this is guaranteed by the Employee Guarantee Pact. Well, it sets forth deadlines and ways, and one of the very important provisions in that pact is the provision that says that the amount of rise and signing agreement thereon depends on the financial situation of the company. So, as you know, in order to know the financial situation of the company, in order for us to provide the trade unions and other people with the financial situation of the company, we need at least minimum reporting periods, so the first quarter is involved here. So these are the conditions and procedures that have been set forth, have been determined in the Pact of Employee Guarantees. So one of the basic element condition is knowing the financial situation of the company is still ahead of us. So now you will be negotiating remunerations for 2018. Well, we should actually start this sort of negotiations in the middle of the year. So now it's 2017. Well, can you remind us how the average pay will change, remuneration will change? At the moment, we are not projecting how to change our average remuneration because, if we knew it, if we were projecting that, we wouldn't really need to discuss that with the trade unions. Because we are in the middle of 2017, but as I've mentioned, in line with our trade union law, well, we start the negotiations in mid-year. So when will you start the rises? Well, that will be negotiated, but the total remuneration fund, because it will change, it changes because of the remunerations, and you've said that the cost. Employment cost has been kept. It was also because of the natural retirement of some of the employees. Well, that's obvious that we will have to employ new employees because of our needs, operational needs, but also it is connected with our overhaul needs. Also, the delayed overhauls and repairs, including the P4, P5 heavy repairs, resulted in the situation that this year will require more repairs. Therefore, we've started recruitment processes in many facilities, including specialists, including welders, for instance, and we are doing this in line with our needs. So we are trying to replenish our personnel. And I can actually quote the European Commission here. So the projected drop of unemployment rate, and we definitely see that this is a true information. And as much as we can, we are trying to fill in the empty position. So we don't have to expect any layoffs or the decreased personnel in PKP Cargo. Well, taking into consideration the perspective for the future, yeah, well, it doesn't seem necessary. Using this opportunity, I'd like to ask the question because the access charge has increased. Are you planning any moves here in terms of the prices for selected services? Is it possible? Well, looking through the prism of your market share, you should actually set forth the prices, or maybe the competition is so strong that it's impossible. While taking into consideration the proposals of the PKP PL, the access charge, cost of access has dropped, not increased, and together with the new board for PLK, we have a better understanding as the whole group of 60-something rail transport companies also with regard to repairs. And today we don't have to pay for the whole journey, but for the original journey that was supposed to be completed. And that's important for us because we transport more, we pay more for the access. But it's very difficult to talk today about the price list that has been on the market for 6 months only. What we've actually announced at the beginning the end of price war. Well, we are trying to implement that, and we try to offer quality and not the lowest price. And we have to remember that we've been offering the lowest price for the past 30 years, and that means that our car trains are on average 30 years old, and the locomotives are on average 32 years old. And somebody has asked me today how many multi-system engines I would like to have. Well, I said at least 500, but, well, we need money for that and time. Well, I need to actually give you more details about it, because last time we had a reverse question. Well, the cost of freight turnover has minimally risen, but the unit cost has dropped because the efficiency is better, has improved. I have one more question concerning overhauls, because as I remember how the company was entering the stock exchange, so when the first EU perspective ends, your situation will improve because the average freight speed will grow. And well, I understand that it's completely different because the second phase of overhauls are starting, and well, the speed is dropping. So can you actually tell us when we can expect this perspective, this forecast, because you are saying that you are not very competitive towards the roads, because if it takes 3 days for the train to reach from the seaport to the Silesia region, which is in the south of Poland, well, this 3 days is not true, because it can take us as little as 6 hours with regards to container trains. But I need to highlight that this is not the right path. A couple of months ago, I looked at the notes of my father and how the situation changed in terms of the for instance, commodities, 480 tons and not even 100 back in 1980s, and not even 100 million tons. And at that time, we had it was because the road transport wasn't as effective as it is now. And this is all connected with the mobility package that will be published by the European Commission. So we are waiting for that. And the changes concern not only rail, but also roads. Everyone deals with similar problems. But if the charge, if the rate is comparable, it doesn't really have to include all the external cost, because if it takes all the cost, then the road transport would have to pay 20 times as much as we do. And we don't expect that, but we want the cost to be comparable. And then we will be able to operate. So we are waiting for the end of May and the time that the European Commission announces mobility package. And the average speed next year, what can we expect here? And when finally the rail track will be unblocked? Well, it will be unblocked for good. Well, definitely, it will take some time still, but it will be unblocked when we change a bit the map of the rail tracks in Poland. But it has to take some time, because as we can see, the map today shows you the situation, our heritage of the partitions. In many areas you can see where the capital cities in Russia, in Austria, or in Germany. So we need to still work on this map, and I believe that 7 or 8 years, well, it has to take at least that many years. huge works are projected to take place around Warsaw and in Silesia region in the south of Poland. And well, that's a normal situation, because if we want the situation, to be improved, well, we need to suffer a bit. And the average speed, well, it will be connected with our agreements on with some of the companies that complete the works. And that's actually the answer to you, because if we need a ring, if we need to go around and the speed is higher, well, then we are quicker. So this is the answer. Everything will be agreed and is being agreed with the companies that complete the overhauls on the rail tracks. And I can see that. My experience tells me that they are really open to that. They understand that. And we really hope that our cooperation will be as good as possible. And we really want the materials to be delivered to the construction places before the construction starts. And that's also important. And this is part of our discussions. So we have two more questions from our online participants. So the first one, what about the noise directive? And the second one, new contract for INEA, new costs for PKP Cargo concerned with longer routes. Well, the first question, noise directive. Well, here we've been in contact with the representatives of the European Commission and the organizations for rail companies such as SER, UICEF, and using those, with the help of those organizations together, but also individually, we present the members of the European Parliament or representatives of the European Commission our position on this case. Our position is close to the Scandinavian countries' position. So from our point of view, introduction of the so-called composite brakes can be dangerous, especially in those countries that go through winter. In those countries that don't have any winter, well, you can discuss it, but our experience and Scandinavian experience shows that this solution may not be as good as it is presented. So we believe that our own brake pads are much more effective, and the composites are just not really that much quiet, because they are quieter by 1% only. And well, the cost is horrendous, because for PKP Cargo to change it, it would be about 2 billion zloty. So we are ready to change into silent brakes if we get the money for that. So we have some understanding of the subject, and that shows you that our country differs a bit from the regions that are asking for that, requesting that. So the regions bordering France, Germany, Benelux, northern Italy, and southern UK, they are requesting it, and we have 400 people per square kilometers, and in Poland it's about 120 people per square millimeters. So, well, it's easier for us to actually put some noise screens around rail tracks, for instance, in Warsaw or in Silesia or in other big cities, Łódź, Szczecin, Tri-City, Kraków or Szczecin. Well, but immediate change in our opinion, does not reflect the expected benefit, expected profit. And so if we ask people how bad is the rail noise, well, it affects 13 or 12 percent of the society, while the road transport affects around 70% of the society, of the citizens. So for us, in order to go down by 1 or 2%, well, it will cost 2 billion zloty. So maybe let's spend less money and be more effective in terms of noise decreasing. And well, we've been talking about it with the European Commission, and we would like to have some transitional periods, so to be able to introduce that change in 2030s, for instance. We have one more question. How the new contract for INEA includes additional cost of PKP cargo connected with longer routes, connected with overhauls? So the bypasses. Well, speaking directly, the rate presented in the tender for INEA, so access, infrastructural access charges and the cost of bypassing has been included. Today we have the contract already signed, and we can say, because it's not a secret, well, the rate of the tender has grew by 49%. And I'd like to add one more thing, that as we've mentioned, this is not the reason for rising by the PKP PLK, but this is connected with the rising cost of energy consumption and truck teams work, for instance, and services. Well, my question also concerns the rising cost of transport, of freight. So do you know what percentage will be connected with bypasses? We know that not all routes are electrified, which actually makes the cost grow, because you need to use the diesel engines, for instance. So how much of those routes are not electrified? Yes, that's true. This is the case. But this is also the answer to the previous question that you've asked. Well, we keep on talking. We know that some of the time we will have one truck available, and depending on the time spent on one truck, well, it will be actually cheaper for us, and then the client will not have to pay for the bypass. And the other question concerns aggregates and construction materials and the result. Well, the result has improved by 21%, but the first quarter of 2016 wasn't a good quarter in general. So the freight turnover, is it also an effect of seasonality, because the winter this year was longer? Well, I compared the quarters here. So if we actually take a look at the previous quarters, 2015, 2014, and the results measured by the freight turnover were significantly better. So is it connected with lower number of works completed because of the weather, or maybe other factors? Well, definitely. As you've mentioned, winter has been a factor this year, and after 6 years, the winter has returned to our country, and everyone saw it. And I've mentioned that 2 or 3 years ago, I tried to buy a winter coat, and in the 5th or 6th store, I was told that you will not buy a winter coat. And I asked why? Because we don't have winter anymore. And we've started to get used to the fact that the winter is not here. Well, this year has changed the situation. Winter came, actually. And we've dealt with the situation in infrastructural construction. But also the coal transportation has changed as well, significantly. I have a question. My first question concerns seasonality of the overhauls in 2017. Will it be linear or by quarters? So if you could actually tell us the picture. So, Jarosław Klasa, thank you for the question. The seasonality results from the repair cycle. So, depending on when given car or engine completed previous P4 or P5 cycle or P3 level. So, depending on the date on which the car or engine left the facility, well, this is when it comes back. So for train cars, it's just time, but for the engines, for the locomotives, it's also the number of kilometers that have been driven by the locomotive. So therefore, the cycles are not peaking. So we should expect some flat trends because this is well-thought cycle, so our organization wouldn't be able to actually do all the car, trains, and locomotives at the same time within 1 year. So we need to plan it ahead, and no organization can do such thing. Therefore, we have new rolling stock that was introduced mainly in 1980s. Well, it didn't happen on one day, and it was spread over time. So we can expect more flat trends, but rising a little bit, but without any serious peaks. Well, it is a well-thought operation. Now, with regard to the announcement of Minezit at the beginning of May concerning selling AWT shares, this has been just a signal that our co-owner, Minezit company in Czech Republic, would like to sell AWT shares package, but it doesn't really mean that PKP Cargo has to pay cash. Because of our previous good relations with our co-owner, well, we have hopes for successful completion of this transaction, and we are taking various solutions into account, just as our co-owner, including joint venture, for instance, or other ways of cooperation. Can we expect any conclusions? Well, once the negotiations are over. What else can I say? We have one more question from our online participant. Why the coal freight turnover dropped despite the stronger, colder winter that should actually increase this freight train turnover? Well, the freight turnover in the first quarter dropped because the structure changed in terms of the loads that are carried. The transport on long destinations has been changed into transportation on shorter distances, but also the decreasing the distance and the change of the freight structure. But now, to tell you more, despite the decreased freight turnover, we've recorded 700,000 more loads that were transported as compared to the previous year. So.
Czy przechodzimy już do świętowania Dnia Matki?
Are we moving on to celebrating Mother's Day? Or maybe there are more questions. Now about the containers. How many have been sent to China? Grzegorz Fingas now. Do you want to hear a specific number of containers? Well, it's been provided that it was about 50%. So, since there are no more questions, thank you. Thank you so much for coming to the conference. Now, we encourage you to have some interesting conversation later on, and we would like to invite you to the next meeting, next presentation on the 31st of August. Thank you so much.